Hey guys, this is Mitch with 5.CGI, and today we're going to talk about how to integrate Python into Godot. So we're going to go through the process of compiling and installing the Python bridge version of Godot. We are going to go ahead and download and install the add-on that allows us to interact with the Python API. We are going to go ahead and create a small test application in Python, which basically just instances a sprite, and that's pretty much it. And last but not least, we're going to go ahead and export it, and I'll run you through that process. So that's what I have in store for you guys today. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and download our code. So let's click on this. Let's go ahead and click on this little clipboard here, and that's going to copy this URL here. And then we're going to go ahead and open up a folder, and we need to go ahead and clone this. So we are going to right click and git bash here, and I'll move this over for you guys so you guys can see. And we're going to say git clone, and then we're going to go ahead and paste that location. Oh, it did not like that. What did it do? All right, let's try that again. Let's copy it, git clone, right click, paste, and then enter. And you'll see that it's going to go ahead and clone all of that. Now we're going to cd into it. So cd Godot dash Python. And if we go ahead and list that, you can see here's all of our files here. Now we do have some prerequisites to this before we go ahead and start our building and start integrating Python into Godot. And the first one is we need to check if we have Python. Now if you just type Python, you'll see that it says Python right here, and you can see I did it up here just to make sure I had Python. But if you don't have Python, you're gonna have to go ahead and download it. So go ahead and go to Python, downloads, and then click on this little button here, and that will allow you to download Python. And go ahead and install it, and then come back to this location in the tutorial. All right, the other thing that you're gonna need is, let's open up our Windows Explorer and type Visual Studio Installer. And you will see that I have Visual Studio Installer here. And if you don't have that, you're gonna need to go ahead and download it from the Visual Studio website, from the Microsoft Visual Studio website. And here is where that is, right here. We'll just go ahead and click on this, and then click on this, and that'll pull down the installer. And then what'll happen is it'll pop up, and it'll come up looking like this as soon as it decides it wants to work. And I would suggest that you at least get desktop development with C++. I have ASP.NET Web just in case I want to do a API. I have .NET Desktop Development because I do desktop development professionally, so it works out well for me. And Universal Windows Platform, because again, that's more of a work thing. And same thing with mobile development. That's also a work thing, but it's good to have regardless. But this is the one that you absolutely have to have. All right, so now that we have both of that, and actually if you click it, you just click install while downloading, and then you're good to go, and it should allow you to install. So now that we have all of that, let's go back to our our little Git terminal here, and let's go ahead and type git sub module init, and what that's going to do is that's going to go ahead and pull our headers for our submodules. And what a Git submodule is think of it kind of like a location to another Git repo, a Git that has the data that we're looking for. So now we're going to say git sub module update. And what that's going to do is that's going to go ahead and clone all of our Git submodules. So if we go out to our project location, which in this case is Godot-Python. Let's see, that's Godot source, Godot Python. And we go ahead and we take a look at Godot headers. You can see all of the stuff that it pulled down right here. This is all the stuff that Godot needs to compile, or at least the headers that the Godot system needs to be able to link over to Godot Python. So now one of the best things that we should do is we should go ahead and create our virtual environment for Python. So what we can do is we can make sure that we're in our Godot Python directory, which in our case we are. And then we can go ahead and type Python space -m and make a virtual environment. So what I'm doing is I'm saying make a virtual environment and name it venv. And if I hit enter, so now that we have our virtual environment created, we need to go ahead and activate it. So what we're going to do is we're going to say /venv scripts activate ACT. Oh, I don't know if it liked that. Hold on. Let me see if I open up an actual command prompt instead of doing it through this, and then do /script /activate.bat. All right, there we go. It looks like I can't do it inside of my Git terminal here, so we'll just go ahead and continue from here on our command prompt. And you can see with this little thing right here, that basically says, hey, we have a virtual environment that we are currently inside of. Now, Python allows you to have virtual environments, so you don't need to mess up your entire Python system by installing all these extra add-ons and things like that that you don't need. Python allows you to create virtual environments to develop in, so that you're not, polluting other Python projects with this virtual environment. So now from here, I need to go ahead and install some requirements. So type pip install -r for requirements.txt. Let's go ahead and let that download our requirements. All right, so you'll see that we have this little error here that says, hey, we got a problem, man. You have access is denied. And the reason why is because if you don't use a --user tag, all right, so when this error comes up, there may be quite a workaround here. Let's see if we go into venv and go into this config file. Let's open it up with Visual Studio Code. All right, let's see what's going on here. Change this to true. Go ahead and save that. And then we can minimize these two. Let's try that again and see what happens. There we go. So that's a quick workaround if you run into that error. So could not perform a --user install. User site packages are not visible. The reason why it's yelling at you is it's saying that, hey, in my config file here, that's my bubble sort, whoops. In my config file here, you need to include the site system packages or system site packages because the system can't seem to find its site packages. So if you just say, hey, go ahead and include all of the system ones as well, then pip can go ahead and pull down the data that it's looking for. So that's just something to keep in mind, and that should help you out a little bit. Now, next thing that we need to do is we need to go ahead and build this. So we need to actually build our Godot system. So we're going to say scons platform is equal to Windows dash, in my case, I'm going to do 64. And we're going to do a release build. So let's go ahead and let that run real quick, and I will be right back. So now that that's done, what this did was it generated all of your Python bindings for the GD native API, and then it compiles them. So it's kind of a memory dependent application, and it is quite a monster of a process, but thankfully it's done now. So let's go ahead and test our bindings and make sure that they're correct. So we type scons platform is equal to Windows test. Oh, whoops. I'm sorry. Windows-64. Let's go ahead and run that. And it should run a bunch of unit tests against your bindings. Okay, and you'll see that we have all of our tests passed except for 7, but for the most part, it seems like it's good to go. So I think we can go ahead and try it and see what we can do. So now that all of our tests passed, we can go out to our build folder, our Windows 64 folder, and our platforms folder. And that is our build of Godot with the Python library built into it. So if we double click on it, and we go ahead and we make a new project. So let's just call it pyth Python test project. Let's go ahead and create our folder, create and edit. And I will go ahead and resize this for you guys. And now that we have Godot open, we'll go ahead and click on 2D scene. We'll right click on our node 2D and we're gonna go ahead and attach a script. And if we click down here, you'll notice that we don't have Python. Now, the reason why is because we need to go out to our asset library and type in Python and go ahead and pull down Python script here. So this one right here, not this one. This one's the old version. Go ahead and download this one if you're running Godot 3.0 and up. So you should just grab this one. So go ahead and click on that one. Go ahead and click download and go ahead and download it. And I will be right back. Okay, so now that it's downloaded, go ahead and click on install and then go ahead and click on install. And it will go ahead and uncompress all your assets. This is going to take a long time. So I will once again be right back. Okay, so you'll see that it is installed. So we're gonna go ahead and click OK. And we're gonna right click on our 2D node and attach a script, click down. And you'll notice that once again, it's not there, right? So that's strange, right? Well, the reason why is because Godot, for some reason, needs to be rebooted for this to take effect. So let's go ahead and close Godot. And I don't need to worry about saving. And then let's go ahead and reopen it. And I will open up my Python test project here. And then I will resize this for you guys. Now, if we go ahead and we click on 2D scene, we right click, attach a script, click art down, you will see that we have Python, which is awesome. That's exactly what we were looking for. So if we go ahead and click on Python and we hit create, you'll see that we have our Python script here. Now, some limitations of this. IntelliSense or auto completion does not work as of yet. There is a pull request out, I believe, to fix this, but as of right now, it does not work. So if I type in here and I go print, you'll see that it didn't auto-complete anything. Okay, and if I were to say like def, let's see. My Python skills are terrible compared to my C# skills. So let me tab out. If I were to say like def test, right? And then I come in here and I were to say test, you'll see that there is no auto completion at all. It doesn't exist. So that's one major limitation that you're going to be running into. Now, outside of that, this does seem to work pretty well. So if I go ahead and I hit play and I save my scene and I go ahead and allow access, you'll see that we get test right here. So it printed out exactly what we wanted. So from here, we can start actually coding our game. So now that we have some kind of test working, let's go ahead and try to instance an object. So first, what we're going to do is we will say item is equal to resource loader dot load quote res, and this is going to be the path of your resource. So in our case, it's going to be some kind of scene that has some data in it. So first we have to create that scene. So let's go ahead and right click here and add in a child node, and let's go ahead and add in a sprite. And we will go ahead and drag our Godot icon in here, and we'll just kind of position it somewhere. And then we will go ahead and right click, save branch as scene, and let's just call it Godot sprite. And I'm just going to copy that, save, and then let's go ahead and delete our sprite here and click on our script here, and we will go ahead and paste that in. So Godot sprite.tscn. Then from here, we need to go ahead and instance that item. So we'll say instance item is equal to item.instance. And then we need to also make sure that we put it underneath the working tree, right? Underneath our tree of objects here. So what we can do is we can go self.add_child, and we will say instance item. Now you'll notice one thing, and that is, for the most part, the code that you use for Python and the code that you use for GDScript are almost equal. So if we go ahead and hit play, you'll see that we have instanced that object. So now that object exists in the scene like it did beforehand, like before we deleted it. Now the question is, what do we want to do when we want to export this project out for something like Windows or Mac? Now, this is a little bit complicated and it's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it is totally doable. So what we can do is we can go ahead and close this, go to our project, export, add in our Windows desktop. In our case, we're going to do Windows desktop. And you'll notice first it says, hey, you don't have export templates. So let's go ahead and grab that. So manage export templates and go ahead and download our export templates and select your official 3.2.2 HTTPS. So we'll click that and let that run through, because we need to have our export templates to be able to export out our project. So let's go ahead and let that download, and I will be right back. All right, so now that we have it downloaded, let's go ahead and hit close, project, export. We'll look at our Windows export settings here. We don't really need anything special, but if we do go into resources and we just make sure that we have filters to export non-resources and just go add-ons /asterisks, and that should just pull everything with it. So then we could just go ahead and click export package zip file. And I'm going to go ahead and throw that in my documents folder because I don't want to mess with my project folder. And we will just call it Godot Python export. Oh, but I need to add an extension, so .zip. And the reason why we need to add a .zip and all of that is because the system needs to have your all of your Python information pulled into it. And if you export out with the standard package format, it will not pull all of this data like what we're expecting. So now that we have this, we can go ahead and open up our documents folder. We can go down here and we can go ahead and right click and extract our little zip folder here. So let's go ahead and extract it. And it should only take a few minutes. Okay, so you'll see that we have all of this stuff here. If we go to our add-ons, you can see that we have our Python script, and these are our target systems. Now, if you want to save a little bit of space, you can remove most of these. So like just leave like Windows 64. In my case, I'm going to leave them all, but literally you can take out all of the rest of them and it'll be fine. The only reason why I'm leaving is because I'm lazy. So now if we go back here, we need to make sure we pull back our Godot template here. So we need to go out to our app data. So if we go back to our documents here and we go to C, users, your name, and then we go to app data here, open that up, and we click roaming, and then we scroll down and you will see Godot right here. We open that up. And then inside of here, you'll see templates. And now we got to find the correct template for us. You can see that there's a bunch of different templates here. Each one corresponds with a specific version of Godot. In our case, if we go down to Godot, so if we open up Godot, and you can see right here, we have 3.3.2 or 3.2.2 stable. So we need to have that specific version. So if we go to our templates, 3.2.2 stable, double click on that, and you will see all of our release templates. Now, we need to look and figure out what we exported. In our case, we exported Windows 64 debug. How we know that is if we go to project and we go to export and we look at our options here, you'll see that we said we did 64-bit. And when we click export package, you'll see export with debug. So we have to make sure that we pull this specific version and this specific executable. So if you copy this and then we go back to our Python and paste it, we should be good to go and run it. So if we go ahead and double click this, so something to keep in mind, I had an error earlier, but unfortunately I'm unable to reproduce it. But when I first exported my project as a zip file, you can see what I got here as my files. But if you look over here, when I re-exported it, it went ahead and fixed it. So that's something to keep in mind for future use. Just make sure that you have your import PyCache. You have to have your PyCache. And make sure you have your project.binary and your Python script gdnlib file. Because if you don't have that, your stuff's not going to work. And then if we go ahead and double click on our Windows 64 debug, you can see that we have all of this data in here. And if you don't have all of this data in here, make sure that you go ahead and re-export out your project as a zip folder and then unzip it, and that would go ahead and solve it. So if we go ahead and double click this, you will see that it loads just as we expected, and that's pretty much it. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. So we went over what Godot Python is. We downloaded the add-on and compiled it. We opened up Godot. We downloaded our plugin and installed it. And then we went ahead and created a simple, hello world like test scene. So if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And hey, if you dislike this video, go ahead and hit that dislike button because I am here to make content for you guys. Now, this video was a viewer suggestion, so as always, your suggestions mean a lot to me. So if you have any suggestions for future videos, go ahead and throw them in the comments below, and I'll be more than happy to add them to my Trello board. And hey, if you have any questions about this, go ahead and hit me up on my Discord. Link is in the description below, and I'll be more than happy to help you out with any problems that you have. But that's all I have for you guys today, so thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you all next time. Thanks.